The long wait is finally over as we had Raptors preseason basketball last night.
Do the pieces fit?
We're about to find out.
I can't wait for that D.
Good to be back.
This is Basketball Island. Hein, Hambone, Wes, who's staring longingly at Hambone, and Fab, who for some reason is wearing a Ja Morant Grizzlies jersey. In case you're wondering why, it might be October, but it's hot in Toronto. Your glasses are fogging up too, man. You okay?
Yeah, Sweat-tember is over, but Hot-tober is still in full effect.
Look at his glasses.
Can you show the sweat?
I mean, I'm just wearing this because it's a great jersey. This is a classic, it's a classic print.
Canada series, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Raps were in Vancouver on Monday night.
And Ja just got hurt.
Yeah. So, free Ja.
Topical.
We're not going to dive too much into that preseason game, but from what we saw from that initial game, we'll come through. And our main focus is, what are the 3 burning questions we have about the Raptors going into this season?
Just 3?
Well,
so many questions.
Do you want to peel back the curtain? We actually had 5, but for the sake of time, we thought we would focus on 3. And let me ask the biggest one that every Raptor fan is wondering. Is this a playoff team?
Maybe.
Wow.
So
we
strong.
waited so long for that
So
take.
strong.
You had all night to think about how you're going to answer that one.
I mean, I have no idea. It was the first time we saw Brandon Ingram on the floor. We only saw IQ, Scotty, Yak, and RJ on the floor for 9 games last year. There are so many unknowns with this team. Talent-wise, probably should be. You know, you're pushing the tax. I think you're in the tax. Top 10, 11 salary in the league. Littered with talent. A lot of mix of young guys and some guys in their primes. Based on talent alone, you probably should be. But I don't know how this team fits. And last night's game against Denver didn't really give me any more indications of how they fit. It feels clunky, but I'm obviously willing to withhold judgment.
I'm a strong yes. I know that might not have been the case when we did this pod last year, but a big part of why I like this Raps team, it's actually the teams that are ahead of them right now in terms of projected win totals. When you look at the Phillies, Milwaukee's, and Boston's of the world, 3 like very capable established teams, you look past all of their depth chart, starter issues. Look at a team like Milwaukee that's playing Kyle Kuzma, Gary Trent Jr., Kevin Porter Jr.
Gary Trent Jr. filled it up in the playoffs. So we made money off of those 3s.
We know GTJ, okay, big time player. But my point being is the depth for teams that are very good like that, they don't run as deep as the Raptor. The Raps bench could very well carry them in the regular season in a way that we haven't seen in years. I think there's a lot of room for error in the teams above. And so whether or not the Raptors get top 6 or they're in a play-in spot against a team that's not actually motivated to make a run, I think the Raptors are really set up to be at least in a position to get it.
So you're advocating for over 39.5 wins? Because that is what the total is right now on FanDuel. If you think you're going to make
38. Yeah,
38. Sorry, it was 39, now it's 38. Yeah. You're advocating for an over. If you think they're going to make the playoffs.
Top 6 especially. Top 6 is probably 45, right?
If they make the playoffs, that's an over hit.
Yes, I would bet the over on that right now. I think.
Show us the slips.
Yeah, gotta put the slips on. Again, the biggest area of strength to me with the Raptors team, it's kind of what the Pacers were like last year. They can run 10, 12 deep. Unlike a lot of these other more established teams that it gets very thin, very fast for some of these good teams. And I think the Raptors can, regular season-wise, keep a lot of games.
I think something to add on to that too that plays with that, the continuity factor. There's an importance that obviously Ingram a little different, but I think the continuity played with that depth. You disagree on the continuity?
I disagree, man. Their big 4 played only 9 games together last year. Yeah, they may have been together in practice.
I think, but even like Vegas, this is a group that has been together.
The power of friendship.
It seems like they like each other.
Yeah. But okay, we have to look at the Raptors in terms of how they stack up relative to the rest of the conference. So in my personal tier of the East, New York, Cleveland, Atlanta, Detroit, Orlando are locks.
Yeah.
That's 5. So you're in a tier with Philadelphia, ultimate wild card team. Yeah. Milwaukee, flawed, but they have Giannis. Boston, who knows? Indy, who knows? Miami. So where I've landed is, if you put a gun to my head, I don't think they're top 6, but I think they land in that 7-8 and they win one of those play-in games to get in. That's kind of how I see it just from the outset.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot has to develop, and we have to see how this goes, but that's how it looks to me at the moment.
But how do they get there? Like, that's my question. Like, what is the thing that you look at this team and you say, that's the reason they get to the playoffs? That's the reason they get to 7 or 8. What are they good at?
Well, I think
That's the question. That's
no, well,
the
I think to
question.
me you have to be a good defense because I don't think the offense is going to be elite. You don't have enough shooting. But to me personally, I don't think you have enough consistent shooting to get into that like upper tier offensive level. But you have the depth and the pieces to potentially be good defensively, and we saw this against Denver in the first game. A lot of pressure, a lot of ball turning it over, and you have to generate offense from that. And I think that has to be their wheelhouse.
They were a bottom 10 offense last year. They were pretty inefficient in transition last year.
Which is surprising because you feel like you should be better with guys like Barrett and Barnes,
I
right?
think they'll improve in that aspect.
Yeah.
To me, it's the defense.
Yeah.
Is if you're going to be good, it's got to be defense. Man, like they were first in defense last year, like after March.
That was
It's a mirage.
fraudulent. Over
It's
like
a
a
mirage.
5-week period, that was a fraud.
The schedule was pretty weak. Not everyone was playing games. Guys were in and out of the lineup. What are you good at? You have to be a bankable defense, in my opinion, for you to reach those heights. I need to see it. The starting lineup is just, it's so interesting. Like we could talk about like how like the core and all that fits, but like you gotta stagger some guys. I just don't. Ingram quickly, like Barrett. These aren't like
No.
defense
100% you will have, even offensively, you will need to stagger it to get the most out of each person. But what I'm wondering, if it's not a playoff team, what does that mean? Because like to me, that if this group right now is not a playoff team, I don't see ownership being patient enough to want to continue to pay, like you said, a top 10 payroll for a team that's not even a playoff team. So what does that mean for the core of this group? Is this group together after the trade deadline if you're not a playoff team?
Like, I'm glad you bring that up because that's what leans me towards them being a playoff team. I think there's so much capital and investment into this team becoming a successful franchise. This is the season where I think there's going to be all the pressure in the world to have everybody play as many games as possible, coaching staff to put best players on the floor, like not as much about development anymore. This is win now territory, like you said, top down. That's why I think there's room for them to get in, as opposed to a team like Boston that's intentionally trying to skirt the luxury tax. There's a reason why, Milwaukee, they have depth issues. They don't even know what's going to happen with Giannis.
But they will still, I would think Milwaukee will also have that same sort of all-in mentality of we need to make playoffs.
They
because
do
if
too.
not, and especially we just had that Shams report about the Knicks today, those whispers will get louder. And he didn't calm them down on media day either.
And you mentioned Indy as well. Indy's kind of team. They're kind of just trying to bridge the gap
Indy
right
and
now.
Boston are
But
weird.
Indy, okay, fine, no Halliburton, but those dudes aren't going to roll over.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
But they're a Rick Carlisle coach team. They're tough. These guys just went to the finals. Like, they're not going to just shrink and become like a non-factor in the East completely. But for the Raptors, I think this year is going to be a showcase of like what kind of culture they've actually built. Because, okay, you look at their starting five, you say it doesn't necessarily all fit basketball-wise. But like if you look at the past, good teams, they sacrifice for each other and they do what it takes to win. Is everyone going to take a little bit of a statistical dip to win games? Like, are they going to do the right things to try to be victorious in games? Like, are they gonna is Ingram going to cut off the ball more and take more catch and shoot threes? Is Scottie going to sacrifice touches and play, be an all defensive type player? Is Barrett going to cut and spot up for threes? Like, are they, is Quickly going to play more catch and shoot? Like, can they do all these things and buy in to try to win, or are they going to be gunning, to get their numbers?
Well, and that's one thing that stood out to me yesterday. I know we talked about a lot of the great markets that FanDuel has out of like, will Ingram average 22? Will RJ and all? I don't trust any of these guys to hit those numbers because if they play the way that they're supposed to play, this is going to be spread so thin, and it's not, sorry to use a football reference, but it's very much an everybody eats mantra for the team and everybody getting there.
I think that's the recipe for success.
Yeah.
To Fab's point, to what you just said, like you need to sacrifice for one another, and a lot of that sacrifice has to come at the expense of your offense, but on the defensive end. Like again, like we're talking about like, will this team remain the same? Like, I thought RJ Barrett was very like mature about how he like kind of handled a lot of the rumors. Josh Rulenberg wrote a really good article. Kayla Gray had a report in the Denver game as well about like RJ's he heard the rumors. I think if you look at the team and the roster construction, he's the one spot in that starting unit that you can say like that kind of tips the balance a little more. I think they're suffering from that one ball problem where it's like you have a lot of dudes who like to handle, who like to be aggressive, who like to take it to the hole. Like, can they play that Darko Rajakovic style where everyone's moving the ball, drive, kick? That needs to be the key.
Well, that sets up question 2 perfectly. And Fab, will start with you. How does the starting 5 fit together?
That remains to be seen, because we've seen one preseason game of 20 minutes that didn't even include Jakob Poeltl.
Yes, yeah.
And we actually know how important Jakob Poeltl's been for this team the last couple
You
years.
thought your spacing was bad.
You thought
in there.
Well, but with that said, amazing screener.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's going to get guys looks via his screening. I mean, he's a good little short roll player. He can kick out. He can hit that little floater. So, it's a cop out here, but I need to see how this develops, because we're all guessing at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can't tell you, but like what we saw against Denver was, it's nice to have a guy like Ingram who can 3-level score. That's one thing we can certainly say is Toronto did not have that. And you saw it yesterday. It's like, you can get to the line, hit a 3, you can get into the mid-range. I'm like, he's clearly a way better and more polished scorer than anybody they had. So that's a welcome sight. Now, how everything goes around him and how they operate, very much wait and see, because there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, I think BI, the best part about him is he's a completely different tier of isolation scoring in that starting 5. There's just never been anybody like that over the last year. I think the 2 things for me, it's about fit that I'd really like to see play out and quickly is how willing are the IQ, RJ, BI guys willing to take that open 3 when there's good ball movement and there's an open shot. I think RJ has shown it a willingness, and also he now has to step into that role more. He's got to be a dead-eye 3-point shooter, which he's shown he's been able to do.
Catch and shoot, especially.
Catch and shoot. When that ball's open, the ball's swinging, can these guys hit those 3s? What's to say they can? If you're working on that in the gym, that's a skill you work on. Whether they have the ability, we'll see. What I'm confident in terms of who you have in the starting 5, I think the ball movement and assist rate stuff is going to be excellent. I think it's going to be excellent this year. Can they finish the shots? Yeah, that's the tough part. I think that's very tough.
It's funny,
but
man.
The ball's going to move around, and I think if they can hit shots, this offense has good ceiling.
You can look at every single player in the starting 5, like, this guy's the key.
Yeah.
This guy's important. Like, the best shooter in the starting 5 is Emmanuel Quickly.
Yes.
We were in our group chat, and the question was asked, like, where's IQ?
Yep.
Like, because he is, like, you're talking about, like, the lack of shooting. If he is your elite shooter, that needs to be, like, exemplified all the time. 10 plus 3s a game on good percentages.
10's a lot, but I think we have to just accept that IQ is going to have to play a little more of a reduced role. Like, I don't necessarily want to see him running offense as much as the other guys, and that contract's just not going to stack up to what they're expecting from him.
But,
like fine, be a good role player who can hit 3s off catch and shoots and move around, but I mean, that you shouldn't be paying $32 million for that.
I think we all agree that contract is terrible. For me, it's also with IQ, but it's making that more of a leap as a playmaker, which we saw last year with RJ.
But I don't think he can do that.
No,
I don't think.
but-
Yeah, I agree.
No, I agree. When he is, I want to see him take those pull-up 3s. He has a great percentage of pull-up 3s. But if you have RJ, Scotty, and IQ who can all move the ball, then that allows you to have a guy like BI who's not a great passer.
What do you need more of? IQ as a playmaker or IQ as a shooter?
I think you need that as a shooter, but I also want to see him either shoot 3s or move the ball.
Make it 12 threes a game. Like to me, his shot diet should be like 75% of his shots should be 3-pointers. Like, especially if we're talking about usage and how he can fit with that starting unit, he needs to spread the floor. And I'm not saying like just camp out there and do nothing else. Obviously, he's going to have the ball. He's going to take some of the load off of Scotty. A lot of the other guys are going to want to isolate some as well. But that needs to be what he does well for that starting lineup to thrive. Can he do it? I hope so, because that unlocks everything else.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think this starting lineup, we'll see how it starts out through. I'd say give it at least 20 games before you make any rash kind of judgments, and then who knows? Maybe you have to make a swap.
Yeah,
Right? Like there might have to be a guy moving in or out if it's not panning out the way they expect.
My main take is in the starting five. I don't think it's a hot take. Scotty's the best playmaker.
What about Scotty Barnes?
Scotty is the best playmaker, so I don't think you need IQ in that role where he's setting the offense up. This team's got so many good players.
I don't need him to set the offense up. I'm just saying take a little bit of a leap playmaking like we saw with RJ last year, and then you have 3 dudes who are all good.
Because the original question was the fit, and I just think how the fit works in this offense is IQ becomes a volume 3-point shooter that's forcing a lot of the perimeter defenders to have to come up, which affords BI, RJ, and Scotty more space to operate. IQ's a good shooter.
Okay, I had to check
IQ's
it.
a great shooter.
Before you, Scotty to average 6 assists is I think plus 150 on FanDuel.
55.
I'm betting that.
Oh, that's a slam.
I'm betting that he averaged over 6 once in his career. I think he's in line for more.
He's 5.8 last
and
year.
I'll disagree on I think Ingram's hitting 22 a night.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I think they need it. Especially in those situations where the half court's bogging down a bit.
So then you see Scotty and RJ taking a bit of the dip in scoring?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do actually. Yeah.
I pray Scotty
I can
scores
see,
less.
but I think
I pray he scores less this year.
Well, based on last night's game, he got one.
If last night was a good indicator.
I mean, that was my fear. Again, like you can literally pinpoint every player in that starting lineup and be like, this guy's important. Here's why.
When it comes to RJ, I think if you're gonna see them be more aggressive defensively and turning that into running for easy buckets,
Then RJ.
I think RJ is gonna be a main benefactor.
RJ's way more of a natural scorer than Scotty Barnes. My worry, I love the assist bet. I think that's like as lock-ish as it gets when it comes to this Raptors starting lineup, and Barnes just his natural.
Is there a minimum games bet for those on FanDuel? How's that?
I think
work
it's
exactly?
1.
There we go.
So if he plays one game and gets 5 assists, you're screwed.
Okay. I think to me, it's like his natural inclination is to play make, but he didn't really fit like on the again. It's one game. Who knows? But I watch and I worry.
The shots he ended up with were a little bit awkward.
They're clunky.
But I see what I liked was there was a clear emphasis on just pushing the ball.
Yes.
And he was good with the assists. I actually thought he played pretty well defensively too, considering he had to guard Jokic at times.
Yeah,
but
he was free safetying a little bit. It was interesting.
Yo, it's preseason.
Yeah.
Come on, everyone, chill. It's one game, 20 minutes. Like
Mamu's not chilling.
You know,
Dialing it from.
so yeah. I mean, let's just leave. But we got 5 more preseason games left before we even get to the season. So
Yeah, my take on Scotty is if you had to pick one or the other as a fan, you'd much rather see Scotty have a career high assist season than a career high scoring season. This is the year that he should really see his assists tick up because he has capable scorers around him. Some of the passes Scotty can make, even in a half-court set offense, nobody else on that team can make but him. That's his true gift in this offense. He's not the most gifted scorer of these 5. I think he needs to literally take less shots, set his teammates up more for success.
And even aside from the offense, I need to see Scotty just lock in defensively every night. Like to me, if he's doing that and that's your baseline, I can work off that.
I actually have no doubts that's going to be him.
Yeah.
I think that's his MO this year.
Very volatile defensively. He definitely takes risks. Like he shoots the gaps. He switches.
I kind of like him as more of a disruptor, like a helper.
That's definitely how they did
than
it.
an on-ball guy, but
Definitely feels like how they employed him in last night's game. But again, it's preseason. You're trying stuff. They went over every screen on like defense.
wow. So you ran into a Denver team without Pirtle.
Without Pirtle. It's the worst
I mean, like
matchup
Jonathan
against it.
Bobo's trying to guard JV and Jokic. Like
it was the wrong matchup.
So going back to Scotty, then, do you guys think he could be all defense? I think that's a bit of a.
I think he could. I'm not saying he will, but I think there's a world where
the skill set is there, but I just think there's too many other dudes.
I know, but if the Raptors
have to be a top 10 defense,
if the Raps crack top 10, say they're 10th, and he is racking up block and a half, steal and a half, he's their best defender. I mean, there's a case.
I think Scotty's an all-defense player. It might not be an all-defense year.
Yeah.
I think the personnel around him would have to change in order for Toronto to be a more stout defensive team.
That's exactly where I say, and I don't think the team success defensively will be there.
Fair
to get
enough.
there. Okay, our final question, and this plays off of, they all play off of each other. Look at that. How much pressure is on Darko this season?
A lot. I think, you were afforded 2 years of a rebuild situation where everyone kind of knew where the team was going to go. You got destroyed with injuries to start last year, so you had a little bit of grace. Now it's time to
Can't
see.
have a little grace.
Play the clip, Connor.
Play the clip.
Play
Yeah,
the
Connor,
clip.
rack it up.
I like to think I have a little grace, not as much as Jackie.
Can't have a little grace. You either have grace or you don't.
So to me, it's like you have to prove yourself this year. I know they didn't make him a lame duck, so they extended him for a year.
But that is the lame duck extension. You're still a lame duck.
It's a nice peace of mind type thing. I need to see if the defense was real, if it wasn't a mirage last year, and can these guys buy into his system? If we're looking at the Summer League roster, that roster pushed the floor, was super aggressive defensively. They forced turnovers, sometimes at the expense of their defensive principles, right? Like, is there principles? But they were less solid in order to gamble a little bit more. Do you have the personnel to play that style across the board? I think the bench plays that style. I think Scotty can do that. I'm not so sure about the rest of the starters. So can those guys buy in? Can they excel in those situations? And if, again, it comes down to the defense. If they can be a top 10-ish defensive team and be middling on offense, I would consider that a win, considering how clunky the fit seems to be coming into this year.
On the subject of pressure for Darko, I think the salary cap situation puts that pressure on
Big time.
him.
Yeah.
They don't have time anymore. There's no time for them to wait to see if this team's got it. And he's going to be the scapegoat if it doesn't come
So
through.
is play-in enough to keep his job?
I think
Play-in don't make playoffs.
I think play-in, it has to be and get in. I think play-in and make, I think, is probably the line in the sand.
And what works out for him is the East isn't great. So I think
But
that's
we
a
talked
pretty
about this last
reasonable
week, though.
bar.
The East is better than everybody's saying it is.
It is, but it also it's not compared to the West. You know what I'm saying?
Fab took Embiid in fantasy the other day, so we know he's going to have an 82-game healthy season.
Yeah, bet the over on
Hammer
Philly
Philly's
wins.
Late
over.
fourth round.
Fab's horseshoe on Embiid now.
Oh, God.
Well, hey, man, make your own luck in this life. But in terms of Darko's pressure, I think it's an average amount of pressure. I don't think it's he's not on the hot seat. I think it's normal NBA coaching pressure. If things if things go off the rails quickly, sure.
But not-
But that's any coach in the NBA, man.
But is off the rails.
Okay, sure. Take any team and start 5-15. Yeah, you might be on the hot seat.
Five games under 500 in mid-January.
No,
I don't think. No, I wouldn't worry about it. At 5 games under, I wouldn't say he's his job's at risk. If you're hovering in and
7
around
games under.
All right, you start getting
Right?
closer to double digits under
I don't
500.
even
Yeah,
think it's that though. If you're 40 and 42 and miss out on the 10 seed or get the 10 seed and then get smoked, I don't think he's back.
In the East?
Yeah.
I
But,
think
okay,
I think
but
you're good pretty far there.
So here's the thing: are the Raptors hoping to be some deep playoff run team?
No,
What do you
you have
want?
to get in.
So you want to get in as the 7 or 8 and get
Yeah.
squashed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a good season, Darko.
Yes.
I think that's the floor for him.
Yeah.
I think anything worse than that, they're like, okay, the team's talented enough to be better than this. Maybe we need a change of leadership.
Sure, and especially it's an astute point about the tax and that this team is already is expensive, paying a lot of money for it. But I just want to rope this into the odds a little bit. Darko, Coach of the Year,
Plus
he's a long shot as he should be. But it's funny how in the NBA it's such a fine line. If the Raptors win mid-40s, that's the exact kind of profile that wins Coach of the Year. The overachiever, you took a bad team, made them pretty good. Yet if they win 32 games, he gets fired.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the NBA in a nutshell,
I
right?
think the Raptors are going to be good this year or can win plus mid-40 in games. Bet Darko plus 2,000 to win Coach of the Year.
Well, once again, that's how you profile as a Coach of the Year candidate. It's always biggest overachiever.
Yeah.
Right? For the most part.
We've talked a ton about the payroll though. So say it is a disappointing year. What's easier to change then? The group that you have and not want to pay those high salaries for a team that's not even a playoff team, or hey, we trust these guys. Let's just let's give it one more kick of the can with this roster.
It's a bit of both, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
But
what
also, it's easier said than done. If you
Sounds up, man.
but if you have a really bad year, the perceived value of your players isn't going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you trading quickly for? What are you
And it's
trading
not like
Barrett
you
for?
just-
No one's lining up to get those guys. The irony is that if you are having a good year, there might actually be more interest in a guy like
Yeah.
Barrett. Now, but if you're on course to finish with 44 wins, do you want to trade Barrett? Do you strike while the iron's hot, or do you say this is working?
It's probably it's
good
working.
questions,
It's
right?
probably working, and you don't want to mix it up. I mean, I think one thing that we've talked about and alluded to a little bit too, and it relates to Darko. I think Darko gets a lot of credit for building the culture of how this team operates right now. It feels very much like bench mob-esque when Pascal, Norm, and all those guys were coming up. There's some level of camaraderie you see coming off this current version's bench unit. And I think I love seeing it, and you see it in the preseason game. You can see they're actually putting a bit of pressure on the starting unit. You love to see that as a fan. That's great. Don't let any of the starting five have the grace that their spot is secure. And I think Darko, deserves some credit. He's the one that's instilling a lot of that, that's making all this defensive pressure stuff actually go.
I think that's where Darko wins, is development. He was brought in to do that. He is a player development coach. So to your point, it's funny that like you're very like, I'm also pro the bench. I think they play with a lot of energy. I think they can kind of force the issue defensively with a lot of energy. It's just
Offensively, they scare me though.
they scare me.
I mean, no, they can't score.
I think they scare a
right?
lot of people in the league. I think, for us, we're close to it. We watch Summer League pretty close. We're like, oh no, we're pretty deep, like 10, 11, 12 guys. I don't know if they're necessarily seen that way.
But here's the thing. I think and eventually someone might have to be okay. So Grady Dick, I've been a fan. I think he's developed okay the last couple years. Looked very bad against Denver. So I think he can bring a lot to the table offensively with his movement. Hopefully more of his shots start going down. But if he's on the bench and the whole ethos of the bench is about ball pressure and defense, how does that fit? He's a target. So I don't know if that lines up with what they're trying to do.
Someone's gonna have to
So
pop.
at a certain point, does a guy like him get benched because he doesn't fit with what they want?
No, because I think you need that spacing.
Yeah.
And if you're surrounded by other plus defenders,
Sure.
you can hide that a lot
A
better.
little bit. You need 4 other good defenders on the court.
Who pops from the bench? Like,
I'm a Jamal Shad guy. I'm a big
Shad.
Jamal Shad guy. I love his defensive intensity, his aggression. I think he sets up everyone else around him to play with a certain pace.
It's infectious, yeah.
It's very infectious.
But with that said, he's not gonna score 15 points a game. Like I don't know if anyone as a scorer is going to pop.
to me, Jacoby Walter
Should be the guy
probably
theoretically,
fits the
yeah.
most in terms of like guy who could actually make the league, because he can give you something defensively. If his shot is real, that's really good too. It's just you need 1 or 2 guys to pop. I love the way Mamukelashvili played. I think he kind of fits Darko.
Mamu.
For that, yeah.
The pump, the drive.
Jack's got to start saying his name.
Oh man, we're gonna
grill him. We're gonna get.
You can't keep getting away with Sandro every time, man.
Mamu with the 3. Got it. We can stretch it, space it. Say it with me. Sandro Mamukelashvili. Come on, Jack.
Gonna take me a few games.
Come on,
First
Jacko.
question of this year's panel is gonna be ask the panel to spell his name. See what happens.
Yeah.
Just right away before the season even starts.
Yeah.
But he fits. Like to me, he's kind of the guy. Like the fact that he can shoot and he can put on the floor at his size. CMB, I think, is very intriguing, especially defensively. He can't shoot though. He played small ball 5 in college.
I love it, but his playmaking is an underrated part.
I like him.
He has a nice handle. He can play make a little bit.
Someone's got to pop from the bench for them to be solid. They have so many options. So if you're Darko, who's the guy that you're going to, like 6th man, 7th man, the guy who's playing every game because you know what you're going to get from that person? Consistency on both ends of the floor. That question still needs to be answered. I agree with Wes that there are a lot of choices.
Don't you
we
think
need to see it.
The versatility of the bench though is actually like a nice little strength.
Yes.
And depending on what you need, you can get that.
But you want to be able to have someone you can bank on, that you know what you're going to get both ends of the floor. I think Jamal Shed's a great candidate for that. Who else? Like Shed can't really shoot. Like who else? You know what I'm saying? I think that it's going to be very, very interesting. It can actually sway it, especially in the regular season.
To me, it's not like a hockey shift 5 in, 5 out type of thing. I think you're gonna see a lot of what.
Wes loves bringing up his puck.
Let's get the puck. Hey, opening night. The big thing is like I would say they're kind of like the
Dump and chase,
Clippers.
bud.
Big dump and chase guy, right? Clippers is a great example. Chris Dunn, not a scorer. Derek Jones Jr., not a scorer. But they need those type of guys in the starting lineups with like a James Harden to like be able to have a guy on the defensive end. I think the Raptors, you're going to see a lot of that this year. I think they're going to be earlier substitutions where a guy like Colin Murray-Boyles comes into the lineup where they just want a guy clamping dudes down. On the other end, you have enough mouths to feed on offense anyways. You don't need 5 shooters on the floor. I think you're going to see quicker rotations like that, and I think it's going to be very effective. And then you put the credit to Darko, Coach of the Year, 2021.
On that note, Wes has a Pens Rangers watch party to get to. So we'll be back next week. Don't forget to catch us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Go Dogs.